This is Shred, and today we're going to look at how to make music with modes. Now, modes are one of the most confusing and misunderstood topics in the universe. Now, fortunately, you clicked on this video, which means you'll be one of the few to receive my sacred modal enlightenment. Now, in this video, you'll learn scale shapes for each of the 7 modes in the key of E, but more importantly, you'll learn the primary chords for each mode. I've also written a short musical cue to demonstrate the core sound and unique personality of each mode. But we're not done. As a bonus, Jake from Signal's Music Studio has graciously agreed to stop by and share some modal licks with us as well. Now, you can get the tabs and backing tracks for this video by signing your soul away to me on my Patreon page below. So grab your axe and let's get to it. Now, first up, what the hell is a mode? And the answer is, it's just a scale. That's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time. So the clearest way I can demonstrate modes is this. From C to C is a C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's all the white notes. Now, a mode is when you still play all the white notes, but you start in a different spot and you end in a different spot. So the D-Dorian mode is D to D instead of C to C. So now you have the notes D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And that's the idea. So moving on, Phrygian would be the 3rd mode of the C major scale. So instead of starting on C and ending on C, we're going to start on E and end on E, but still playing all of the white notes. F Lydian, F to F, G Mixolydian, G to G, A Aeolian, A to A, and B Hlocrian, B to B. That was a nice chord. What chord was it? I want to demonstrate why it's so important to understand chords when it comes to modes. So let's take the Pink Floyd song Great Gig in the Sky, which is in the G-Dorian mode. And to start, I'm going to use the G-Dorian scale to improvise over it. Alright, so that's more or less the original tone and vibe of the song. Now what happens though if instead of playing G-Dorian, now I play A Phrygian? Now you can probably hear that there's not any difference. There's still a G minor and C chord progression happening in the backing track, and the tone of the song is still there. Now I'm going to change the chords in the backing track. Instead of playing G minor and C, I'm going to make it A minor and B flat. Now, how did that sound? You should be able to tell that that's a completely different sonic landscape. It has that brooding, haunting quality that Phrygian has, and really there's no Dorian elements at all, even though I was playing the Dorian scale over the Phrygian chords. So all that to say, it's very important to understand chords when it comes to modes, because they have more control over the sound. Now what I want to do next is examine each of the modes in more detail. Ionian is the first mode, and it's just the same thing as the major scale. The sonic quality here is optimistic, happy, uplifting, standard major. Now the primary chords for the E major scale can be represented by the formula 1, 4, and 5. All that means is E, A, and B. And as you'll notice with all the chord voicings I play in this video, I'm always going to use the tonic note as a pedal tone, which just means I repeat that note with all of the chord voicings. The reason I do that is because this really solidifies that tonic pitch as the foundation for the sound. It's really more of an ear training thing than anything else. Now let's hear the sound of the Ionian mode in a musical context. Now, one of the secrets to improvising in modes, or just improvising in general, is to reference the chords that you're soloing over. So if you're soloing over an A chord, you might be thinking to yourself, I'm going to play a C sharp note because that's in an A chord, or an E, which is the fifth of the A chord, or of course the root, A. Prodigies exist. Musicians, you have stolen my dreams and my childhood. Moving on to Dorian. Dorian is the second mode of the major scale. And it's a minor mode, but it's kind of in between minor and major because of the raised 6th degree. This adds a little bit of a major component. Here's the F sharp Dorian scale. To me, Dorian is very representative of the Pink Floyd sound and David Gilmour's spacious, atmospheric solos. The chord in Shine On You Crazy Diamond, that's really a perfect harmonic snapshot of the Dorian sound because it contains all the critical elements. You got the root, the minor third, the raised 6, which gives the twinge of major, and it also has the minor 7th in there, which is very important. Now the chords for the Dorian mode can be represented by the formula minor 1 to major 4, or in this case that's going to be F sharp minor and B over F sharp. Now let's hear the sound of Dorian in a musical context. Phrygian is the third mode of the major scale. This one's very popular in metal due to that flat 2nd degree. Check out the Phrygian scale. And the chords for Phrygian, you've got G sharp minor, and then A over G sharp. Very haunting and dark quality here. I love it. Let's hear Phrygian in action in a more musical setting now. Now, Lydian is the fourth mode of the major scale. This scale is major, but it has a sharp fourth scale degree, which gives it a little bit of tension. And that sort of translates for me into a more epic, uplifting quality than regular major. It's also responsible for making us cry at the movies. Thanks, John Williams. So the chords for the Lydian mode are major 1 and major 2. Or in this case, A and B. Now, as I said, Jake from Signal's Music Studio is going to drop by and blow up a few Lydian licks for us. Take it away, Jake.
This solo is composed using only the diatonic notes of A Lydian or E major. It consists of a very, very simple melodic phrase that is repeated several times throughout, and then those little phrases are bridged together through moments of shred.
Pretty bitchin' solo, right? My two favorite things are the odd note groupings and the thematic continuity between phrases. Now, Jake is one of the most articulate and clear music educators on YouTube, so get on over to his channel, subscribe, and level up your guitar and music theory game. Now, I just want to re-emphasize here the importance of pedal tones, that repeating bass note. If you don't use these, your ear is really not going to form a connection between the tonic and the sound of the mode. So do this for the sake of your ears. Do it for your ears, bro. Now I want to show you guys a little bit of my process when it comes to recording here. So we're in my Logic profile. And I'll just kind of walk you through a little bit for the drums. Also keep in mind, I'm no pro at this, but I'll just show you the way I do it. So for the drums, I'm using Easy Drummer 2. This is the modern setting. Moving on to the bass, I'm using a number of different sounds for the bass. You got a bouzouki. Also have a grand piano. Hitting some really low notes. What else? I've got an orchestral patch here. And this is the Vienna Symphonic Library, their smart orchestra that I'm using for the plugin. And the last thing I'm using is an upright bass, and this is courtesy of the BBC Symphony Orchestra. Now for the chords, I'm using a synth pad, and I'm also doubling that sound with an orchestral patch here, just to round out the tone and give it more variation. For the guitars, I'm keeping things real simple here, just two guitar tracks that are panned hard right and left in the stereo field to make it sound wider. And for an EQ, I'm just taking out some of the lows and mids, boosting the highs a little bit, nothing crazy here. Mixolydian is the fifth mode of the major scale. And here we have another major scale, but it has a flat 7th degree. And this translates into a more whimsical, playful, sort of party sound. Extremely popular in classic rock. In fact, it's hard to think of classic rock songs that aren't in the Mixolydian mode. Now the chords for the B Mixolydian mode are B and A, and this can be represented by the formula major 1 to flat major 7. Let's hear the sound of Mixolydian in a musical context. Bacon for breakfast. Now moving on to Aeolian. Here we're at the 6th mode of the major scale. Aeolian is a minor scale, and it's characterized by the flat 6th degree. Very moody and sad, traditional minor quality. Very popular in metal. And there's sort of two ways you can take the chords. You can either do C sharp minor to A to B, or another route you can take through Aeolian is C sharp minor to F sharp minor, or the 4, and then to G sharp minor, back to C sharp minor. They both sound great. Now let's check out my Aeolian cue. Mega death, mega life, megalodon. Now, I also want to talk about some mastering tools that I use here. I use something called the multipressor, and this is a multi-band EQ compression tool that you can use. And it also makes things louder and makes your recordings pop a little bit more. I'm using an adaptive limiter here, setting the output ceiling to -0.1 so there's no clipping possible. Again, this is going to boost your signal, make things louder. I'm also using the stereo spread tool to give the mix a bit of a wider sound. As I said, I really don't know what I'm doing when it comes to recording. I just kind of experiment and find sounds that I like. I'd encourage you to do the same. Of course, get educated on this stuff, watch videos, but also just kind of like follow your ears and explore. Now finally, we've come to Locrian, or as Rick Graham would say, Locrian. This is easily the darkest, most dissonant sounding mode of all. It's also the least popular. There's very, very few songs that could actually be considered Locrian. And the reason is because you have that minor 2nd scale degree and also the flat 5, which just creates a lot of tension. And another reason why Locrian's hard to use is because the 1 chord, which is a minor 7 flat 5 chord, is really the only chord. So there's no actual harmonic movement in the mode. Now, what I do to kind of cheat my way through this and create the illusion of harmonic movement is to use different inversions of the minor 7 flat 5 chord. Like you could use F sharp minor 6, or you could use D sharp minor over A, which to my ear, this kind of creates like a oddly Lydian effect. And then you could also do this one, D sharp minor over C sharp, which who knows what the fuck that is. But anyway, by using these chord voicings, you create the illusion that you're actually going somewhere, but you're really not. Now, as you guys know, I actually have a bit of a penchant for dissonance. My ears always sort of just bend that way. So get ready for your ears to bleed, and let's check out my Locrian cue. That was evil AF, right? Now, the key takeaway in this video is to understand that there's two components to modes, not just the scale aspect, which we're all familiar with, but there's also the chordal component. And the chordal part is actually more important when it comes to conveying the sound of a mode than the scales, as I demonstrated earlier. So what you might try doing is head on over to Patreon, grab these backing tracks, and start improvising over them. But when you're improvising, really pay attention to the harmonic movement that's inherent within each mode. And try to find your own personality and style within those parameters. And if you can do that, you win. Until next time, shred till you're dead. I'm Shredmaster Scott, and this video is called Unlocking the Harmonic Minor Modes. Or should I say, the demonic minor modes. In a moment, we'll break down each of the 7 harmonic minor modes by checking out the scales, chords, and a short musical example to tie it all together. Whoa, that is the sound of harmonic minor coming to steal your soul. Unlocking the harmonic minor modes. Let's get straight to it. Now, first up is the A harmonic minor scale. Has a classical sound. Tendency tones that define the scale here are the minor 3rd C and the raised 7th degree G sharp. Now, a chord that summarizes the sound of the scale is the A minor major 9 chord. Has a very James Bond spy sound. Perfect for creepy metal tones. Now, next up is the Locrian sharp 6 mode. Just like the Locrian scale, but with a raised 6th degree. So keep that in mind for the tendency tones, and also the flat 2nd, B flat. A chord that summarizes the sound of Locrian sharp 6 is the A minor 7 flat 5 chord. Kind of like a diminished sound, except with a little bit more flavor. Moving on to mode number 3, we've got Ionian sharp 5. So it's just like the major scale, except you raise that fifth degree. Major third, augmented fifth for the tendency tones. And if you'd like to play a chord that summarizes the sound of this mode, try the A major 7 sharp 5 chord. Super cool sound, chilling dissonance. Very uncommon in metal, but you'll hear this in film scores and jazz. Fucking jazz. Let's take a quick break before our brains explode. Cheers. Now, rumor has it babes love guitarists who know their modes. So if you'd like the full tabs and backing tracks for this lesson, check out my Patreon page below. Now, next up is one of my favorite modes, the A Dorian sharp 4 mode. Just like the Dorian scale, except we have that raised 4th degree D sharp. Scary, creepy, haunted house vibes. Couldn't be better for metal. Try A and B chords for the harmony, or if you want to reduce it to just one chord, try the A minor 9 chord. Fucking jazz. Now, mode number 5, we all know thanks to Yngwie J. Malmsteen. And that is, of course, A Phrygian dominant. This scale is very popular in metal. It's characterized by that minor second and the major third degree. Try A and B flat chords for the harmony, or if you'd like to just use one chord for the harmony, try an A dominant 7 with a flat 9. Spicy. Mode number 6 is the A Lydian sharp 2 scale. Now this mode is really dissonant. Got a major 7 in there, major third, but also a minor third. Put all those tones together in a chord and you get like I said, a very dissonant chord. So this gives us an A major 7 chord with a sharp 9, which is very uncommon indeed. Now the final mode is called A Mixolydian sharp 1 or Superlocrian. The reason it's called Superlocrian is because of all the altered pitches in the scale. You got the flat 9, B flat, flat 5, E flat, sharp 5, F, or E sharp. Perfect scale to play over a dominant chord. Now sum up the sound of this scale in one chord by playing an A diminished 7 chord. And there you have it, unlocking the harmonic minor modes. There's a lot of jazz-related dissonance in these sounds, and they haven't really been used much in the metal genre. Take some time to navigate these modes on your own. Who knows, maybe you'll invent a new metal subcategory. If you'd like the full tabs and backing tracks for this video, check out my Patreon page below. Also, test your music theory knowledge with my daily quizzes on Instagram. Winner gets $1 million. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And until next time, shred till you're dead. 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 This is Shred, and you're watching Secret Metal Scales that no one knows about. In a moment, we'll check out the chilling and dissonant modes of the melodic minor scale. And trust me, this is no minor issue. There's 7 modes in total, each accompanied by a haunting chord perfect for metal. I've also recorded a short song for each mode to demonstrate its sonic quality. Now consider selling your soul to the Dark One, and maybe you will write the next hit track with these modes. I'll put the tabs below in the description if you're interested in going deeper. Now stop fingering those minors and let's get to it. Secret metal scales no one knows about. Let's have a closer look. Up first is C melodic minor. Now the way I like to think about this scale is it's just the key of C, except it has an E flat. Everything else is the same. Now some of the notable pitches here is, of course, you've got the root C, the minor third E flat, and how it differs from other minor scales, or at least the regular minor scale, is it has a raised 6th degree, this A natural, and also a raised 7th degree, the B note. Now this creates some very cool harmony. So that's our primary chord for the mode, C minor major 9. Now you actually hear this chord in metal from time to time, especially black metal. Very chilling, cold, haunting, dissonant. Second mode of the C melodic minor scale is D Dorian flat 2. So if you think about the D Dorian mode, it's just all the white notes on the piano. So it's the exact same as that, except it has this flat second, the E flat. Adds a lot of spice and unique quality. Now check out the chord. So we got a D minor 7 flat 9. And by the way, when we get into these crazy chords, a general principle you can use is color over structure. Now what I mean by color over structure is you've got the root down below, other important tones like the 7th and the 3rd, and then after that you can put some of these more dissonant notes. So this E flat is on top of everything else as opposed to being down below. It's what Satan would prefer. Next up on the list is the third mode of C melodic minor, which is E flat Lydian sharp 5. Don't make me get sharp with you. Now again, guys, it's really important, I think, to think of these modes as just being the key of C with an E flat. So here we've got E flat Lydian sharp 5. And it's just like Lydian, the first 4 notes are exactly the same as an E flat Lydian scale, but then we've got the sharp 5, the B natural. And that gives it a very interesting quality. Now let's check out the chord. E flat major 7 sharp 5. That's got a nice bite and chunk to it. Here we've got the root E flat, major 7th D, the 3rd G, and then the color, of course, which is the sharp 5B. Shout out to John Williams. Love you, John. Next, we have one of my personal favorite modes, the 4th mode of the melodic minor scale, which is F Lydian dominant. Very cool sound. Now basically you've got a Lydian scale here with a flat 7th degree, E flat. Normally in F Lydian you'd have an E natural. Another way you can think about it is a Mixolydian scale but with a raised 4th. The cool thing about this scale is it's major but it's got so much tension in it. Now the F Lydian dominant chord is going to be an F7 flat 5. Very common jazz chord. But again though, what we're finding here is that you can take a jazz harmony and actually have it adapt well to a metal context. Praise Satan. Bless you, Beelzebub, for making these delightfully evil and haunting sounds. Now let's talk about you as a musician for a minute. I think there's a lot of opportunity here to create something unique. It kept surprising me as I was writing the cues in this video how differently I approach things because of the unique sound of the scales. Maybe you're stuck in a rut right now and not feeling very inspired musically. These scales could be just what you need to see things from a fresh perspective and to get you writing again. And I think one reason these scales haven't been explored that much is they're typically considered to be jazz scales. But as you can hear, I think there's a lot of metal potential as well. And maybe you didn't like the sounds that I made, but just keep in mind you can approach these modes from a lot of different angles. So explore these new sounds and set yourself apart from the miles of metal drudgery. Not that the pentatonic scale isn't cool, but there's definitely more out there. Now if you want to take your metal music theory game to the next level, I'll leave a link to my Patreon page below. There I upload a new topic in music theory for you to work on every day. Scales, chords, counterpoint, contrary motion, serialism, music theory quizzes, and more. So sign on my dotted line, in blood of course, and receive my diabolical theory wisdom. Do it now. G Mixolydian flat 6 is the 5th mode of the C melodic minor scale. Now this is a super cool mode as well. Exactly the same as G Mixolydian except for this one note, that flat 6. Let's check out the chord, G7 sharp 5. Badass sound there. Now the sharp 5 and the flat 6 are the same note, just an enharmonic equivalent difference. You could even call it a G7 flat 13 if you wanted to sound like a jazz douche. Moving forward, we have the 6th mode of the C melodic minor scale, A Locrian natural 2. So here we have a Locrian scale, except for this one difference, the 2nd. So normally in A Locrian, you'd have a B flat because it'd be relative to the key of B flat major. But here we're raising that 2nd scale degree. Here's the chord, A minor 7 flat 5. Now this is a scale we're actually familiar with more or less in metal because of the diminished harmony. But I wonder what would happen if we put a B note up on top here. Ooh, actually that's pretty cool. You just thought of that now. Try playing your minor 7 flat 5 chords with that added natural 2 on top. Now finally, the last scale on the list is Super Locrian. This is a very evil sounding mode. It might be worth it to sell your soul to Satan just to master this mode. Super Locrian. So it's Locrian because you've got the B to B with the flat 5 and the flat 2nd. However, we've got a major third in here, this E flat, or you could call it a D sharp if you wanted to change that. Same thing. And here's the chord, B7, flat 5, flat 9. Very dissonant. And the reason this scale is so cool is a lot of jazz guys call it the altered scale. And that's because it contains all of the altered notes in dominant 7 chords. So it's a perfect choice if you're soloing over some crazy dominant sound. Because you've got the flat 9, C, the sharp 9, D, of course the major third. You've got the flat 5, F, and the sharp 5, G. So you're covering pretty much all of those color tones. Now, assuming you signed your name in blood, these modes are now yours to command at will, until I come to collect your soul. But in all seriousness, guys, these scales have tremendous metal potential. And I want to say, don't worry about whether or not you're doing it right or wrong. Just explore the sounds and have fun. You never know what can happen.
2, 3, 4.
Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. Until next time, shred till you're dead. I'm Shredmaster Scott, and this video is called Why No One Understands Modes. To find out why, we'll examine the scales, chords, and tendency tones for each of the 7 diatonic modes. So why does no one understand modes? Well, of course, it's an exaggeration. Many people understand modes, but there's a lot of general confusion surrounding the topic. And the reason is because of the focus on scales and not chords. Does this sound musical to you? No. Now, how about this? Now you can hear the music in it. Could be a song. Learning the chords of a mode is what allows you to actually put it into practice. And that's the secret power of modes. Shh. Now pray to Satan for guidance, and let's examine the fundamental characteristics of the 7 modes. Now first up, we've got E Ionian or E major. It's got 4 sharps. I'm using the 3-note per string scale here with alternate picking. And the sensitive pitches in E Ionian are the major 3rd G sharp and the major 7th D sharp. All right, now the real secret, the E Ionian primary chords. They can be represented by the formula 1, 4, and 5, or E, A, and B. All right, next up is E Dorian. Which is relative to the key of D major, containing two sharps. Sensitive pitches in E Dorian are the minor third and the raised sixth. Now the E Dorian primary chords, E minor and A, represented by the formula minor 1 to major 4. Easily David Gilmour's favorite mode. Next up we have the dark and perhaps twisted Phrygian. Now E Phrygian is relative to the key of C, no sharps or flats. And the primary chords are represented by the formula minor 1 to flat major 2. This gives you an E minor and F chord sequence. Up next is one of my favorite progressive metal modes. Think John Petrucci from Dream Theater. Tendency tones are the major third and the sharp fourth degree. Beautiful chords of Lydian, represented by the formula major 1 to major 2, or E to F sharp. Mixolydian is next, a major mode just like Ionian except with a flat 7th degree. And the primary chords are E and D, or major 1 to flat major 7. I'm gonna flatten you. Aeolian or natural minor is a very cool sound. Tendency tones for E Aeolian are the minor third and that sweet haunting minor 6th. Now the primary chords for E Aeolian are E minor, A minor, and B minor. Now, the most evil and wicked scale of all, E Locrian. Satan be praised. Satan be praised. E Locrian is relative to the key of F. The tendency tones or sensitive pitches are the flat second and flat fifth degree. Of course, that flat fifth gives you the evil tritone. And the primary chords for E Locrian, it's a pretty static harmony in this scale. It's really just one chord, minor 7, flat 5. So I did a number of inversions using that haunting and twisted chord. And there you have it. To fully understand modes, you've got to learn the chords. If you're interested in learning more about modes, it just so happens I have the greatest course on the topic. It's called Modal Mayhem and covers scales, chords, tendency tones, chord inversions, and even harmonization exercises. Give me that harmony, baby. Check out the link below. If you'd like the full tabs for this video, visit my Patreon page. And until next time, shred till you're dead. You're dead. 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 Nice shirt, Shred. Hey, thanks, dude. This shirt is taking my shredding from average to insane. Wow, that's impressive. Thanks, brother. Get yours below. This video is a guitar modes demonstration. We'll cover the scale shapes, chords, and hear their sexy sounds. Watch until the end of the video to hear Mary Had a Little Lamb grindcore. What the f***? Welcome to the Shred Zone. I'm Shredmaster Scott. If you're into the power of music theory and slaying metal guitar, you may want to subscribe. Chicks love guitar. First up is the Ionian mode. Ionian is the first mode of the major scale with an uplifting, optimistic tonality. The primary chords are 1, 4, and 5, or A, D, and E. Our guitar mode example for Ionian will be the main theme from Jurassic Park. Life will find a way. John Williams is so metal. Let's have a look at the guitar mode shape for A Ionian. The Dorian mode is the second mode of the major scale, a minor mode with a pinch of major. The raised 6th degree gives this mode its mojo. The primary chords are minor 1 to major 4 or A minor to D. The modal demonstration will be my favorite of all time, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Love you, Twinkle. A mode capable of spacey atmospheric delight. Here's the scale for Dorian. The Phrygian mode is the third mode of the major scale, a minor mode with a dark and brooding character. This is due to the ominous minor 2nd degree. The primary chords are minor 1 to flat major 2. Or A minor to B flat. I hope Lord Beethoven won't mind me making some small adjustments. A delightful death march of a timeless classic. To shred in Phrygian, have a go at the tab. Lydian is the fourth mode of the major scale, boasting a tension-filled tritone from the root to the fourth degree. The primary chords are major 1 to major 2 or A to B. Our melodic victim will be God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, arranged in a Dream Theater progressive metal-esque fashion. Tis the season to shred. To achieve the Lydian sound, you'll need these notes. The fifth mode of the major scale is Mixolydian. It's a major mode with an epic flat 7th degree. The primary chords are major 1 to major flat 7 or A to G. Entering the test chamber for deconstruction will be Happy Birthday. A droning gravitas is present in this characterization, although Mixolydian can also be upbeat and party time, like Highway to Hell. Here's the modal scale. Aeolian is mode numero 6. The chords are minor 1, 4, and 5, or A minor, D minor, and E minor. We'll target a funk sound with Silent Night as the melody. Shred plays funk? The most wonderful time of the year. Now, just in case you'd like to become an Aeolian aficionado, here's the tab. And finally, we've arrived at the mighty Locrian, the mode that no one can make any sense of. With a primary chord progression of a singular half-diminished 7th chord, it's no wonder. Nails on the chalkboard, minor seconds, and tritones are the hallmarks of this mode. Mary and her little lamb are in for a grindcore surprise. What the f just happened? Learn all 7 modes to become a music theory badass and get the chicks. Let me know which mode was your favorite in the comments below. Binge my other modal content. Until next time, shred till you're dead.